This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good afternoon. In just a few moments, we expect President Biden to make remarks about new relaxed government guidelines on mask wearing to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. The changes primarily affect the wearing of masks outdoors and comes as many states have already relaxed their guidelines. The president now at the podium.
Good afternoon.
Let's listen.
It's a beautiful afternoon. Next week, I'll be laying out the path ahead to continue our fight against COVID-19 to get us to July 4th. This is our target date to get life in America closer to normal and begin to celebrate our independence from the virus together with our friends and our loved ones as we celebrate Independence Day. But before that, I wanted to speak briefly to all of you today about the recent change announced by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Let me say first, while we still have a long way to go in this fight and a lot of work to do in May and June to get us to July 4th, we've made stunning progress because of all of you, the American people. Cases and deaths are down dramatically from where they were when I took office on January 20th, and continuing to fall. This is particularly true for a group of Americans that we were most worried about when it came to the virus, senior citizens. When I took office in January, we were losing literally tens of thousands of our seniors each week. Grandparents who were loved so dearly, moms and dads, pillars of every community, gone by the thousands every day. At that time, less than 1% of seniors were fully vaccinated when I took office. Today, in less than 100 days, more than 67%, 2/3 of our seniors, are now fully vaccinated. And more than 80% of our seniors have had at least one shot. That effort resulted in a drop of 80% in deaths among American seniors, a 70% drop in hospitalizations. So instead of losing thousands of seniors each day, we're saving thousands of lives, and more as each day goes by. And by the way, based on reported data, the proportion of seniors who've been vaccinated is essentially equal between white and seniors of color. I said from the beginning that we're going to fight this virus with equity for all. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there are more Latinos and African American seniors that have been vaccinated as a percentage than white seniors. These numbers are a sign of progress on that front as well. Now, last week, I announced that we had crossed the threshold of 200 million shots. We've now, since Inauguration Day, we have given 215 million shots. And that anyone 16 years of age or older is now eligible to get the vaccine now, today, immediately. And because of the extraordinary progress we've made in fighting this virus, and the progress our scientists have made in learning about how it gets transmitted, earlier today, the CDC made an important announcement. Starting today, if you're fully vaccinated and you're outdoors, you need, and not in a big crowd, you no longer need to wear a mask. I want to be absolutely clear. If you're in a crowd, like a stadium or at a conference or a concert, you still need to wear a mask, even if you're outside. But beginning today, gathering with a group of friends in a park, going for a picnic, as long as you are vaccinated and outdoors, you can do it without a mask. The CDC is able to make this announcement because our scientists are convinced by the data that the odds of getting or giving the virus to others is very, very low if you're both been fully vaccinated and out in the open air. The CDC also helped clarify which outdoor activities are safer or less safe, depending on whether you've been vaccinated. The bottom line is clear. If you're vaccinated, you can do more things more safely, both outdoors as well as indoors. So for those who haven't gotten their vaccination yet, especially if you're younger or think you don't need it, this is another great reason to go get vaccinated. Now. Yes, the vaccines are about saving your life, but also the lives of the people around you. But they're also about helping you get back to closer to normal in our living, more normal living. Getting together with friends, going to the park for a picnic without needing to mask up. We're back to that place now as long as you get vaccinated. So go get the shot. It's never been easier. And once you're fully vaccinated, you can go without a mask when you're outside and away from big crowds. I want to thank the team at the CDC for everything they're doing to help us lead with science and bring our communities out of this crisis safely and responsibly. And I also want to thank everyone who's gotten the vaccine for doing your patriotic duty and helping us get on the path to Independence Day, which I'll be discussing more in detail next week. In the meantime, I urge all Americans, don't let up now. Keep following the guidance. Go get your vaccination now. It's free and it's convenient. 90% of the American people live within 5 miles of a site where you can get a vaccination. You can do this, and we will do this. Thank you all, and God bless you. And as much as the temptation is to stay outdoors in this beautiful day, I've got more work to do. Thank you all very, very much.
Mr. President, if the risk is so low outdoors, why doesn't it apply to everybody?
Would you have any preconditions before meeting with Vladimir Putin?
One at a time.
If the risk is so low outdoors, why doesn't this new guidance apply to everybody?
Because the science indicates that the most certain way to make sure it doesn't spread if both people have been vaccinated, the people you're with, and you're outside.
And you chose to wear a mask, sir. You chose to wear a mask. You chose to wear a mask as you walked out here. What message were you sending by wearing a mask outside alone?
By watching me take it off and not put it back on till I get inside.
Do you have any preconditions before meeting with Vladimir Putin?
I'll discuss that all another day. Thank you.
What did you ask Vice President Harris to
India
do?
needs AstraZeneca. Will you make it faster for them to get the vaccines we will get soon? India, they're suffering at this moment.
What do you say to the folks in India?
Will you make
Look,
it?
I'm sorry, this is the last question I'll take, and I'm really going to be in trouble. With regard to India, I spoke at length with Modi, the Prime Minister. We are sending immediately a whole series of help that he needs, including providing for those remdesivir and other drugs that are able to deal with this and prevent, in some cases, but help recovery. Secondly, we are sending the actual mechanical parts that are needed for the machinery they have to build a vaccine, and that's being done as well. We're also I've discussed with him when we'll be able to send actual vaccines to India, which will be my intention to do. The problem is right now we have to make sure we have other vaccines like Novavax and others coming on probably. And I think we'll be in a position to be able to share vaccines as well as know-how with other countries who are in real need. That's the hope and expectation. And I might add, when we were in a bind at the very beginning, India helped us. Thank you.
Sir, What have you asked the vice president to do to help with vaccine skepticism?
How do you convince those still hesitant?
President Biden, as he often does, taking a few more questions, but his whole point there, and part of the point he's making right now as he walks back into the White House not wearing a mask, he wants to make the point that the CDC's new guidance that fully vaccinated people can go maskless outdoors as long as they're not in big crowds. And the other part of that message that the president trying to convey, there's never been a better time and perhaps a better reason to get vaccinated again because we are beginning to see more freedom for those individuals who have been fully vaccinated. Let's go to NBC Chief White House Correspondent Kristen Welker, who is there for us with more of the thinking and what we just heard. Kristen.
Well, Lester, you heard President Biden trying to make the case that this is a significant step forward in the fight against COVID. In fact, he said that the progress has been stunning, but also cautioned that the fight is not over yet. So just to recap the top line here, the president announcing what we heard from the CDC earlier today, which is that those gathering outside in small groups who are fully vaccinated do not need to wear their masks. And in the words of the CDC director earlier today, the release of these new guidelines is a first step at helping fully vaccinated Americans resume what they had stopped doing because of the pandemic. Now, you heard our Peter Alexander asking him there why this doesn't apply to everyone. And he went back to the science and said that the bottom line is the science indicates that the risk is very, very low if there are two factors in place: if people are fully vaccinated and if people are outdoors. So again, a step forward here, Lester, but it comes against the backdrop of the fact that cases are still rising in about a dozen states, and the fact that 4 in 10 Americans still say they are hesitant to take the vaccine. So there is still this hurdle here of getting the requisite number of people vaccinated in order to reach that herd immunity. Now, taking a step back, the politics of this, Lester, this is coming as President Biden approaches his 100th day in office. He campaigned on a promise to turn the page in the fight against COVID. And so he is trying to make the case that he is starting to do that. But that big X factor, vaccine hesitancy, that will continue to be a hurdle. And you heard him there say it's all hands on deck to deal with that, and to say that they are sending resources to India, which is sorely in need with cases on the rise there, Lester.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you. Let me bring in our chief medical correspondent, Dr. John Torres. Dr. John, we keep hearing how effective these vaccinations are, over 90% effectiveness in the case of at least 2 of them, and yet we're still being asked to wear these masks in limited situations. I can't help wondering if it's a bit of a mixed message. Either they work really well or they don't.
And Lester, you're right. It does sound like a bit of a mixed message, but when you get down to the science, the message they're giving is accurate, because what they're saying is, we know this can protect you to a certain extent. We know the vaccine can protect you to a certain extent, but there's nothing that protects you 100% across the board. So adding all those tools together can give you the maximum amount of protection. And he made a great point, because he said if you're fully vaccinated outdoors and not in a big crowd, you don't need to wear a mask, which is where the science is right now. But at the same time, what they're saying is we want you to get vaccinated, and here's the reason we want you to get vaccinated. And I thought his bottom line was great. If you're vaccinated, you can do more things more safely, both outdoors and indoors. Please get vaccinated was his bottom line. And the more people get vaccinated, the sooner they get vaccinated, the sooner we get through this pandemic. They're trying to drive that message forward. And they've gotten criticism in the past for not necessarily pushing the message out, saying if we got vaccinated, we can do more things. They're trying to do that now, but they're using science to do it, Lester, which is important. And that's why in some instances, we still need to wear that mask.
All right, some great perspective there, Dr. John. Thank you. We'll have a complete wrap-up when I see you a bit later on tonight on NBC Nightly News. For now, I'm Lester Holt, NBC News, New York. Good day.